Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bright Connections. We're back after a small little break here. We took a little Christmas break. Just wanted to kind of enjoy my Christmas, not have to worry about anything else. I took a week off, enjoyed Christmas, enjoyed some time with my parents, and didn't want to worry about anything. So took a little mental break from Bright Connections and everything else. So hopefully everyone had a fantastic Christmas, wonderful holiday, whatever you celebrated, however you celebrated. Hopefully it was great in every way. Hopefully, obviously, it was safe in every way as well. And hopefully everyone got a little refreshed, got a little joy, around this time of year, and we're able to enjoy their time. So joining me this week for this episode is my good friends Jake and his girlfriend Sam. Here we're talking some Mandalorian today. So we're excited. Mandalorian is a fantastic show. We absolutely love the heck out of it. And so we're going to go full recap of the season, where things are going to go, for the next season and beyond, and just dive right in. We're excited. So welcome, guys. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
You bet. So obviously, it is now 2021, and I think a lot of people definitely are glad to be out of 2020. For most people, it's been a crazy year. For a lot of people, had struggles. A lot of people, just wanted it to be over with. Whether or not things get better right away in 2021, I think just the mindset that people have that, okay, fine, we're out of that year. We can start to kind of start fresh, like a fresh start in 2021, and hopefully try to make it better in our own way. So you guys kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I think you just have to keep taking it day by day. And I mean, I think it's still going to be tough for a while, but trying to get some positivity out of the days and just trying to forget all the crap that happened last year and just kind of evolve and live off of it.
Right. It's just the changing of the number of the date. Sometimes it's just a way to see it as a different as a different time, a different like just a different year. But like you said, it might not change right away. It might still be the same, but as long as you can, in your mind, take it as something different and maybe not so bad, then it might, hopefully it'll be better. So I mean, you kind of every new year you kind of want to go in. I know, at least for me, I always try to set some goals, whether or not they be, work wise or family wise or health wise, anything. I try to just set some goals and say, this is what I'd like to accomplish for the year. And obviously, they might not come true. They might be pretty high goals, but as long as I feel like I'm working toward them, then I should have a successful year. So do you guys kind of do that too? You have goals or things you want to accomplish during the year? Are you more day-to-day kind of person?
Yeah, I don't normally set goals for myself like that. I've never really been a big New Year's person because my birthday being so close to Christmas, like New Year's is not a huge, like it's 7 days after. So it's not significant to me, I guess.
Okay.
But I think this year at least I want to start trying to get back into exercising more with like restrictions and everything, not being able to go to the gym, and then try to get outside and run occasionally, but then the weather's crap, so you can't go out and run. So I think that's probably the one goal, because I do think I need to get back into shape a little better than I am now.
Yeah.
I'm a little different. I do like to set goals. Yeah, definitely with exercise. I've been doing a lot better. I want to do even that more better. I know that's not proper English, but I would like to have house goals since we just bought a house about a year ago.
Right.
And we have a lot of changes that we're doing. So I want to have a little house goals of getting stuff finished, having our housewarming party, hopefully.
Yeah.
If, hopefully the vaccination comes out and we are able to have people over.
Right.
I know. Just with 2020 being so bad, I think that 2021 will be better. I feel like we're coming out of the darkness into the light. So I think 2020 will be a good year.
Yeah, and that's I think that's just the mindset you have to have going into it. If you look at it,
Mic muted. Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure if her mic was muted. I couldn't
You're
tell
good.
if she was coming
Yeah,
through my speaker or hers.
it sounded different. But I think that's the mindset you kind of have to go with. Just thinking that it's gonna be better. I think will help kind of make it at least feel or seem better. And if you go into it thinking it's still just going to be just as bad, then chances are, it still might be. So, hopefully, I hope for everyone's sake that they can make it a better year, and it is a better year. And just for some people, go take it day by day. For some people, look at the full year and in advance and just say, hopefully by the end of the year, I can say that it was a much better year. So whatever way you look at it, hoping for a good year. That's all it comes down to. Yep. So, all right. So let's dive into The Mandalorian. All right. So I got my little Mandalorian Funko Pop guy back here. I just got for Christmas. So I love this guy. I need to get like a Baby Yoda one and stuff too.
Oh, Jake, you should have brought that really big one.
Sam has a bunch of them.
Yeah,
they're all over the place.
Yeah,
I probably have over 400 Funko Pops.
Wow.
Yeah,
they're fun. I mean, they're fun collectibles. I like them a lot. Yeah, but so Mandalorian season 2 did just come to an end a couple weeks ago. So, and obviously, guys, this episode, if you haven't watched Mandalorian yet, or if you are going to watch it at some point, definitely spoilers, big time spoilers this whole episode. So, if you want to try to skip through towards the end, for the bright stories and everything, but otherwise, sorry, but this is definitely a spoiler episode on Mandalorian. So. So first off, a little recap of The Mandalorian. So this season kind of showed The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, as we'll still call him for now, The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, and how their relationship continued to evolve. Mandalorian kind of went, for me, it seemed like he kind of went like full on dad mode with Baby Yoda this season.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it went from just this little guy that he was kind of tagging along with him to, I'm going to protect this kid with my life, and do whatever I need to do for his safety, for his his well-being, and it came onto display in a handful of episodes, for sure. Whether it was fighting people, taking him to different planets, whatever it may be, it was all about doing what's best for Baby Yoda.
Yeah, I feel like he saw a shift from like season 1 to season 2. Season 1, he seemed annoyed at times at what he had to do, and then this one he seemed more willing to kind of go above and beyond to make sure everything was done properly for Baby Yoda.
Right. It was almost like it was just a task or a mission for him in the first season, whereas in the second season it was like a family member. It was like a son that he was taking care of. And yeah, definitely a big difference between the seasons. And so it continued with trying to find out, even though he's still, even though it kind of changed and was this whole dad, father-son relationship, it kind of turned into, it was still finding out where the best place and the best people for Baby Yoda, like where he would need to be for him to thrive, and be where he needs to be. So that mission or that goal still kind of was in place, even though with the new relationship. So that still was the kind of moral of the whole season, is finding out through other contacts, where maybe the species of Baby Yoda might be, or as we eventually find out, that Baby Yoda could be related to a Jedi, or needs to be in connection with a Jedi. So that's, again, that still continued to be the top, the goal or the aim for what Mandalorian was trying to accomplish. So as we start here, the first episode kind of just set some things in place on what this season kind of was going to include. So the first episode really just kind of introduced Boba Fett's armor, which you saw another character wearing, and it kind of showed how, in a way, how a Mandalorian like Boba Fett could have escaped from the Sarlacc pit. So in that first episode, we saw our Mandalorian that we know in the series escape from the stomach of the dragon, and it kind of was a hint at how somebody could escape from a creature like that using his jetpack or whatever he did, showing that they were resilient. Mandalorians are resilient and they're not going to go down so easily. And it kind of hinted at Boba Fett still being alive. So that was kind of the big thing from the first episode. Is there anything else that you guys could remember?
No, I think that was a big thing. I was, I guess, not surprised, but kind of surprised at the end. I almost thought Mando was just going to let, what is it, Timothy Oliphant, who played the character, to let him keep the armor because of how he kind of held himself up. So I was actually kind of surprised to see him take the armor, but I guess obviously in the grand scheme of the story, it's what had to happen. But I was kind of hoping he would let him have it.
Well,
go ahead.
he followed the full Mando code. If he's not a Mandalorian, he doesn't have the honor to wear that armor. So he had to do what the Mandalorians do, and he had to take that armor back to.
I get that. I just don't want it, Samantha.
Yeah, I you could definitely see that he gained respect, for the guy that had the armor. But Sam, like you said, it's all about code for Mando. It's all about the Mandalorian code, and if, like you said, if he's not a Mandalorian, he cannot have that armor.
Yep.
It just goes to show you that he is true to I'm trying to think here what the right words, what their guidelines are.
Right.
He's a OG, I guess, Mandalorian.
Exactly. No, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we've seen that, especially through the first season and in that episode as well. You see that the code and the Mandalorian way, as they say, one of Mandalorian's quotes is, "This is the way," or even the whole group of Mandalorians, they're true to their code. They're hardcore, follow the rules, follow the code in everything that you do. So, but like I said, you definitely could see that he gained some respect for the guy and how he handled himself, but still ended up taking the armor. Yeah.
The character's name was Cobb.
Thank you. I couldn't remember it. Yeah, Cobb. Yeah. But what they called him, the general, or is that what it was? I think Marshal.
He's the marshal.
Yeah.
The marshal. Yeah, the marshal. Yep, because he was like the marshal of that town. Yep. But so he ends up taking the armor, and as he's driving away or riding away on the speeder bike, you see a character at the top of a dune kind of watching him. He turns around, and it looks like Boba Fett. And sure enough, later in the season, you do find out it's Boba Fett, and he's back. But in the second episode, not a whole lot actually in this second episode. It was almost just a kind of showing again the continuing evolution of the relationship between Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. I guess it was supposed to be more of a funny episode. A lot of people didn't find it so funny. So it was basically just Mandalorian, Baby Yoda, and their passenger that they were transporting to another planet. And Baby Yoda was kind of essentially eating the passenger's eggs, and apparently they wanted it to be funny, but a lot of people were pretty disturbed by it.
I thought it was funny.
I in a way I thought it was funny, but at the same time I was kind of like, oh, you're eating babies.
It was funny in the aspect when the Mandalorian kept yelling at him. Then he kept saying no, and he would just do it anyways. It's like regular kids that don't listen to their parents. It's funny in that aspect.
Right.
It is sad that he was eating a life form.
Right.
But
Yeah, and he would sneak, and when Mandalorian wasn't looking, he'd get in there and he'd sneak and try to eat some. But yeah, I mean that's honestly though that second episode, like I said, was basically just the relationship. You can see in that father-son relationship kind of evolving, where you could see the Mandalorian turning into a father figure and Baby Yoda being defiant, like you said, with children not listening to their parents. But you do end, at the end, you do end up being on the planet where the next episode takes place. And so in that third episode, you are introduced to another small group of Mandalorians. So throughout the first season, you really weren't sure if you see the guild in the first season, but they get disbanded in the first season. So you don't know, they don't really know that there's other Mandalorians out there in the world. But in the third episode, you do end up getting introduced to Bo-Katan and a couple other Mandalorians, and so they kind of team up with our Mandalorian, and what do they end up? They end up stealing a ship from the Empire, or what's left of the Empire, and so it's pretty cool to see Mandalorians in action. They're always crazy good fighters.
Yeah.
A lot of fun to see. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bo-Katan. Have you watched the other side series?
Sam has. I haven't.
Okay.
no, my friend really loves Bo-Katan, so I do know a little about the big character. She's really just, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this word, but she's a really badass character.
Yeah, no, she is. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you meet a lot of badass characters. Obviously, we get a handful of new characters in this season, and a lot of them are especially ones that from side series get kind of introduced into Mandalorian series, whether or not it be for just an episode, or if it kind of ties into the whole season in its own. But a lot of interesting characters, for sure, this whole series or this whole season. But so Bo-Katan is she's trying to stake her claim as the rightful leader of the Mandalorian people. Her sister was the Duchess of Mandalore when it was still intact, and when the whole Mandalorian War kind of just ravaged their planet, she just kind of disappeared or whatever, and trying to, like I said, just kind of trying to reclaim her stake and as the leader of the Mandalorian people, and trying to reestablish their culture and everything, and just trying to rebuild the whole Mandalorian people. And she definitely has an edge to her.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah.
Well, she wants what she wants.
Yeah.
And she thinks that it's justice to get to get that dark saber back, to claim what she thinks is rightfully hers.
Correct.
So,
in addition to characters being introduced, we also get introduced to more of, because I know in the very last episode of the first season, you kind of get to see the Darksaber, but you kind of get to know what it stands for more in this second season. So the Darksaber is it's more of an iconic weapon than anything, whereas it's basically like how would you, like an energy sword, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically like an energy sword. It's called the dark saber. It has been passed along through leading families of the Mandalorian people, and basically whoever possesses the dark saber is the leader of the Mandalorian people. And so obviously it fell out of the hands of Bo-Katan and her family, and so that's why she's been fighting so hard to get it back, so she can rightfully stake her claim as the leader. So in this third episode, you find out that that's basically her mission is to get the Darksaber back from Moff Gideon. So that's why mutual enemies, with Mandalorian and Bo-Katan, with Moff Gideon being there, both their mutual enemies. So they work together, steal a ship, and in exchange, Bo-Katan gives Mandalorian more information on where he can find a Jedi who might be able to give more information on where Baby Yoda might need to go. So that's where we kind of leave off that episode. We kind of skip a little bit in episode 4, where we go back to kind of like the original planet where Mandalorian kind of took place, and we get to see Kara and Grief Karga again. And actually, I think I have those out of order, don't I? Either way.
No, he
Am I right?
returns for further repairs before the Mandalorian takes the child to a detour to
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So they go back to that original planet and they infiltrate a facility where they essentially find out that yes, Moff Gideon is still alive. Basically, they confirm it. So Bo-Katan in episode 3 kind of said that she believes Moff Gideon's alive, and Mandalorian was like, no, I killed him, he's dead. But in episode 4, they confirm that, yeah, he is still alive. And we also find out kind of the reason why the Empire, or the remnant, whatever you want to call them, the remnants of the Empire, why they are so bent on acquiring Baby Yoda. So they're basically we're doing research and taking his blood to try to infuse his blood into other soldiers or people or whatever, to try to get them to wield force powers, essentially. So that's kind of the main thing on that episode 4, learning that Moff Gideon was still alive, and that Baby Yoda, they're trying to build super soldiers, essentially. So they kind of have an idea of Moff Gideon's plan. So then basically they find out that information, and then they also find out where further they need to go. So again, they go into the next planet, and in the next episode 5, is when we finally get introduced to Ahsoka Tano. Again, another character from a side series, a beloved character by many. Ahsoka Tano is not technically a Jedi, but she was at a time, but she renounced her Jedi title in that side series. Hopefully, I'm not ruining too much there either. But well-known character for a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans. And so we get to meet her, and she kind of gets to interact with Baby Yoda and see, what Baby Yoda is able to accomplish, or how much power he has, I guess, essentially. And we also get to learn Baby Yoda's real name.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people are.
He's always Baby Yoda to me.
He's still Baby Yoda to a lot of people. So Grogu is apparently his real name. I think, like you said, for most people, it's gonna be Baby Yoda. Grogu just doesn't fit. Oh, we got another
Yeah, got a kid.
You want to add
I
another
mean,
guest?
Technically, he's called the child, but everybody calls him Baby Yoda.
Yeah, you're right. Yep, he was labeled as the child, throughout the first season and everything. Um, really, just Baby Yoda, it doesn't really make sense because he's got absolutely no relation to Yoda,
Yeah,
but
Well, technically, he's his
species. But
That's
Yoda's
why
right. But
we can-
Yoda's not the name of the species.
No, but no one knew what his species was.
nobody still knows what it is.
Yeah. So that's why everybody called him Baby Yoda, because to everybody, Yoda is just Yoda. That's what his species.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Yoda is the species. Yep.
See, this episode was my favorite episode to see Ahsoka because I've watched the Clone Wars and I love Ahsoka. I love her personality, her determination, and again, just a really strong, badass female. I love to see a lot of those characters introduced in movies, TV series, Star Wars, all of that. It's really nice to have a strong female lead.
Yeah, and I think what was really good though about how they introduced these female characters, these badass female characters, is that they didn't force it so much. It just flowed. It just worked, and they were just. It's not that they were male or female. It's just that they were a badass character, and they just so happened to be female. And in some other movies, I know in Avengers Endgame, where they had that scene with the females. It's fine to have strong female characters, but it's just sometimes it seems forced. I don't know if you kind of agree with that, Sam, or if it's just, do you know what I mean? Though, like sometimes
I do agree with that. Sometimes it's like they feel like they just have to have one.
And it didn't flow along with the plot at all. It just was
it just came out of nowhere.
We have to set a certain time period of a movie where we focus on females and then that's it. And it was forced is basically the way that I put it. But
and you're right, that's what's great about this series is they just brought them along and they fit so perfectly into the story.
Yeah. And it's not forced. It's not over the top. It's just another character who's badass, who happens to be female. And it's awesome. But yeah, Ahsoka, definitely awesome character. How did you think of how it was played by Rosie Dawson?
She did good.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see them turn, Ahsoka into a real life
I think you're just
character.
muted again. It should be down.
Right, turning an animated character
With
into
the Lakers and everything, because it's really hard to do, because I'm working on
doing a cosplay.
of Ahsoka and looking at trying to get really good Lakers are real hard. So to see them integrate, I know a lot of people were talking about it because you could see they were creased and people were mad about it. But some people said it was just because she was getting older, like her skin, it just creases and gets wrinkled.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. I know a lot of people might not have, but I thought it was just her maturing and getting older. That's what happens. I mean, our skin wrinkles. Why
Right.
not Lakers? It's a part of our body.
Right. Why is she, an exception just because she's a different species? Everybody still gets old. But yeah, I thought Rosie Dawson did well. I think, like you said, implementing her, changing her to
Guest star.
but implementing her to a live action character, I thought they definitely did well, and being able to do the same type of action, because in the animated series, Ahsoka is a very fast, jumpy, quick motion type of person, and to be able to move that to live action, I thought they did pretty well. It's got to be very tough to do something like that. I mean, Jedis in general, honestly, though, are very, with their flips and their quick movements and everything. It's tough to do live action, but again, I thought they did really well with that, with the whole action scenes, and with her, like her demeanor and her character. Very nice addition. Very nice addition to Mandalorian. So in that episode, Ahsoka kind of tells Mandalorian that Grogu should be. Well, at first she says she doesn't want to help him. She doesn't want to draw out his powers because she doesn't feel like there should really be any more force wielding people in the world because it's just too dangerous. And after seeing kind of what the Mandalorian stood for and their relationship, she kind of eventually comes around and says, all right, if anything, take him to this spot on this planet and have Grogu connect to the Force and reach out to Jedi if there might be any out there, and hopefully be trained by a Jedi rather than somebody else. So that's kind of where we left off, where just, again, next thought on where we need to take Baby Yoda in his quest to find out where he needs to be. So then in that next episode we do get to that planet where there's like a shrine that Grogu sits on, and he connects. He reaches out, into the Force and connects with. We don't know who he connects with, but you can kind of tell he's reaching out and he's connecting with somebody or something. And so unfortunately, while he's connecting with the Force, Mandalorian and Boba Fett and I forget the other character's name.
I forget it too.
What's her name?
Give me a minute. I should know what it is.
Fennec Shand. They're basically fighting a bunch of troopers and that were sent by Moff Gideon to again try to capture Baby Yoda, and so that's all going on, and Baby Yoda's just sitting there just meditating on his little thing, and there's just a big battle going on right outside, and then at the end, obviously, unfortunately, Baby Yoda does get captured by the dark troopers that Moff Gideon deploys, and so Baby Yoda gets captured, and everybody in that episode's like, "Oh no!" And so that was definitely a nerve-wracking end to that episode. I know, at least for me, it was.
Yeah, and I feel like this episode was shorter than the rest, and it just like, I feel like it cut off, and I was like, what the hell? I thought this could be longer. I think this was like a half-hour episode, but the rest are like 40, 45. I think this was the one that was really short.
It might have been. I think the first couple ones were short too, but
Yeah, they might have been. This one just felt like it could have been longer, and
Yeah.
it
was
makes sense because it ended where it should have.
Well,
But
they
I
wanted
just-
to leave it in suspense, so you have to really
right.
want to see that next episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also enjoyed at the beginning when you saw Boba Fett's ship fly in for the first time.
Yep.
That was cool.
Yep. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Boba Fett. I don't know if you guys are as well, but seeing kind of that like a blast from the past kind of deal, where you're seeing his armor, his ship.
Yep.
Seeing that all again in this series is pretty cool. And you can still, I mean, he's still got it too, as you saw in that episode. He's still badass as well. But yeah, it just, like you said, and it left off in the perfect spot, him getting taken away, and basically, well, Fennec and Boba both kind of said, do you remember why they were indebted to Mandalorian then at that point?
Because you gave him the armor, because you got that armor back.
Yeah. He gave him the armor back and said, we'll fight together and complete essentially our deal. Because what happened? Yeah, that's when the troopers were showing up, and Mandalorian said, if you help me fight these guys off, I'll give you the armor.
Yeah.
So, and then at the end, when they do fight him off, he gives him the armor, and Boba's like, well, it's not complete yet. You know, my deal was to help you complete getting Baby Yoda where he needs to go, and that's not complete if he's not with you. So,
Well, it's nice to see Boba Fett see more of like a hero than, you know, where
He was portrayed more as like a villain.
yeah, and I know that's kind of how. So obviously, Boba Fett is a bounty hunter, and a lot of people see bounty hunters as just flat bad people. And if you kind of look more in depth at bounty hunters, it's not necessarily that they're bad people. It's just that they're doing their contract, and they're doing no matter, you know, whatever it takes to complete that contract. And it's not always that they're bad people. It's just that I think probably the fact that they're doing something for money or payment or whatever, it doesn't matter what their assignment is. Sometimes it's bad. And I think that kind of just is what gives them the bad name. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no. I'm just like in Star Wars when you see the original one where he is, most people reflect him as a villain. I mean, I've always liked him regardless. But how do you feel that he was played by the actor who did Jango Fett, his dad?
I mean, it's pretty cool. Again, it's all seeing things from the past being brought forward. I mean, he's the actor who plays, like, you know, all the clones essentially as well. So his face is a recognizable face, and I guess you never really see Boba Fett's face in the originals, do you?
Usually not.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's why, yeah.
Because again, he's an OG Mandalorian. They don't take their helmets off.
Right. Yeah, that's a big thing for Mandalorians, is that nobody's allowed to see their face, and it's like life or death for them. If if you see my face, I gotta kill you. It's kind of deal, but or kill myself, I guess, essentially too. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It was cool to see him playing it. And I like that you could see that he's been through hell and back with all the scars and everything. But like I said, he's still got it. He's still got the spirit, the fighting spirit, and the motivation and the drive to do what he does. So, and then moving on to the next episode. It was basically finding out where Moff Gideon is. Basically trying to track down Moff Gideon so they can get the child back. So basically they, again, infiltrate another facility in order to gain access to a what am I trying, like not a portal, but like a an archive, a database, whatever, so that they're able to find information on where Moff Gideon is, so they can track him down and hopefully get Baby Yoda back. So this episode, I think, for me, kind of showed the lengths that Mandalorian will go to get Grogu back, and kind of see that, again, that the whole dad and the father-son relationship really coming into fold, where he is willing to take off his helmet and put on another suit. You know, he put on a trooper's suit so that he can blend in. Mandalorians don't do that. They wear their armor and their armor only. And for him, again, to break the code, to take his helmet off, to take his armor off, in order to do what is necessary to, you know, get back Baby Yoda, it's a huge turning point.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at, they bring Mayfield back after what he did to them in the first season, where he tried to, you know, cross them over. So it shows that I think he's kind of, like, Mando's developed a little bit of, I guess, more risk taking and maybe trusting a person more on just what he sees in them and less of like their direct actions. And
Right.
he's willing to just take a second chance to, because I mean, really, what other options does he have? He kind of has to go ahead and do that.
It's turned to desperation in a way. And like I said, just doing whatever it takes to do what's necessary to get to Baby Yoda back. And whether it's breaking codes or trusting people or putting your life in danger more than you normally would, he probably, if he wasn't fighting for Baby Yoda, I would have to imagine he would have done things differently or slower or in a smarter way, as opposed to just, I don't have much time. I got to just go for it. And it was, again, the whole relationship. And you could just see how much Baby Yoda meant to him. And so then obviously they get to the facility that they were trying to get to, and he ends up, again, having to take his helmet off to get a facial scan to get into the archive. And again, it's breaking a huge code for him, and it's a huge deal for him to take off his helmet and have people see his face. But again, he takes off his helmet to do what's necessary, and it's just you could just tell how much it all means to him.
It just goes to show you what dads would do for the safety of their own kids. It's, again, that relationship that he is Baby Yoda's dad.
Right.
He has that strong connection, and he will do what any parent would do to protect their kid or make sure their kid is safe.
Right. Absolutely. So he does what he needs to do. He gets the information on Moff Gideon, and then they escape the facility. And then I guess another thing where you can see Mandalorian changing is that he kind of agrees to let I forget the guy's name again.
Mayfield.
Yeah. Mayfield. He again, kind of something he would probably never do before is he essentially lets him go free. Even though he crossed him in the past, because he helped him, and because of how his character's changing, he kind of agrees to turn a blind eye and let him walk free. So he's changing. Mandalorian's changing, and it's quite evident, and it's all stemmed back to him and Baby Yoda and their relationship, and it changed him. It changed him. So then that leads us to the finale, and boy, was that something.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot.
A lot to take in.
It was a lot to take in, and that was honestly, I think one of the top 3 TV episodes of any kind I've ever watched in my life. I mean, it was seriously that good. It had it all. It had action, it had touching moments, and it had a character a lot of people probably never would have thought they would have seen again.
I had a feeling that was going to happen, though.
Did you?
Yeah. I mean, I was screaming when I saw the ship go in. I knew exactly who it was.
Yeah, when the ship was appearing on the camera, I think a lot of people, it clicked for them then, because he kind of put it all together that that Baby Yoda was reaching out in the Force for a Jedi, and then you saw the X-wing pulling up in the camera, and somebody saying, "That's an X-wing. What's that doing there?" And so Luke Skywalker. What? Luke Skywalker appears to get them out of a very precarious situation where it was looking very, very dim for them. They just were trapped. I guess we are kind of skipping ahead, but basically they find Moff Gideon's ship. They are able to breach, get in to the ship. They split up. Mandalorian goes to find Baby Yoda. The rest of them get to the bridge to try to essentially take over the ship. And Mandalorian runs into again one of the dark troopers. Now these dark troopers are a whole lot different than anything we've seen in the past, where they're a droid. They're not man controlled suit. They're full on droid, but they're not like any of the other droids we've seen in the past, like the B1 battle droids or anything like that. They're heavy armor, strong, quick. So basically, all of Mandalorian's weapons were ineffective, and he's essentially he's getting his ass kicked by this dark trooper droid, and he eventually doesn't he? He uses
his Vez guard. It just goes to show you the armor that he wears. So it's the spear that he obtained when he was on the world with Ahsoka.
correct.
It just goes to show you how powerful his the Vez guard is.
Yep. So yeah, he has the Beskar spear, like Sam said, that he acquired on the planet when he was with Ahsoka. Exactly. So he's got this other weapon, Beskar spear, which again, the Beskar is what his armor is made of, and it's just an extremely, extremely strong metal. And he ends up, yes, using the Beskar spear to defeat the trooper after like barely, because he's getting his ass kicked, but uses the spear, defeats the trooper, finds Baby Yoda, and there's Moff Gideon standing over Baby Yoda with the dark saber. And so Mandalorian, he kind of stands down. He says, relax, don't do anything. Basically, just let me take, because I think didn't Moff Gideon already say he already had exactly what he needed from Baby Yoda. So he's like, go ahead and take him. That's fine. Just let me escape, essentially. So, and then Moff Gideon, of course, uses his deceit and his tricky words to kind of trick Mandalorian into letting his guard down, and they end up fighting as well. And Mandalorian does end up defeating Moff Gideon, and because Mandalorian defeated Moff Gideon, he then acquires the dark saber from Moff Gideon, and which in a way I think kind of worked into Moff Gideon's plan, or at least he turned it into a benefit for him, because when Mandalorian brings Moff Gideon to the bridge where everybody else was, Bo-Katan, Kara, and everyone else, Moff Gideon essentially turns it around and says, because you defeated me, you're now the holder of the dark saber, and which is what Bo-Katan was trying to acquire. And so it kind of created this little rift then between Bo-Katan and Mandalorian, where he's like, that's fine, take it, I don't want it. But because of the like the legend or the meaning behind the dark saber, it's not allowed to be like given as a gift. It has to be won in combat to be able to have the person claim it. So it kind of created a little rift there, but nothing became of it at that point, and because they again got attacked by more dark troopers. So that's where we were, where everybody's trapped in the bridge. All these dark troopers are breaking their way into the bridge, the door, and here comes this X-wing pulling up, and Luke Skywalker, and it's Luke being Luke, just fighting through the dark troopers like nothing. And what though intrigued me is that, I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but I saw a little bit of Luke's father in the way he was fighting through all those dark troopers, where he was doing the force choke and some other moves that Anakin, aka Darth Vader, kind of does.
Yeah, it actually reminds me of at the end of Rogue One. If you see how Darth Vader fought, it kind of looks like how Luke fought in the end of the Mandalorian.
Right. You definitely could see similarities between father and son Skywalker, and but again, it's still Luke. He's still, for the most part, good at heart, and you can see that iconic green lightsaber and him fighting through everything. And then he comes in the door, calm as can be, uh, pulls his hood down, and there's Luke, and everybody's just like, whoa. What'd you think of the CGI'd face, I guess, though?
I mean, I think it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
I think they've gotten pretty good. I guess Disney as a whole at it. I mean, between Rogue One, then all the stuff within Marvel they've done with the de-aging, they've gotten pretty good at that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's not going to be perfect because it's not a real person, but because of the time period and where we are, he kind of wanted to make it look like the Luke that it should be. And I know they thought about doing other actors that looked similar, and I think they found one that looked very, very similar to Luke, but I guess they still kind of just went with the CGI in order to get it exactly how they wanted to. But I thought it was okay.
I thought it looked good.
Yeah. But Luke comes in and he's again calm as can be, and he's like, I'm here for the baby Yoda. and Mando's like, well, obviously hesitated at first because he's built this relationship through the whole season. He's like, yeah, that's probably the right choice to send him with you, but it's my child now. He's my son. And eventually Mandalorian does give in and allows Grogu to go with Luke. And before that happens, again, another huge step in their relationship, Mando and Baby Yoda, and just in the changing character of Mandalorian. He takes his helmet off and allows another creature not only to look at his face, but the first creature to touch Mandalorian, aka Din Djarin, his face since he was a child and since became a foundling of the Mandalorian way. So just a huge moment, a touching moment, where another creature looked at and touched his face, and you just the embrace between Grogu and Mandalorian was heart-wrenching.
But I also thought when he was telling Grogu to go, he just was attached to his leg and just looking up. And then they said, he needs your permission to go, your blessing. And I thought that was really cute.
Correct. Yeah, so Grogu knew that he should go with Luke as well, but like you said, he wanted Mandalorian's blessing or his okay before leaving him, because again, he's built a relationship with Mando, and it probably would have been okay staying with Mando, but at the same time, like you said, he knew he had to go with Luke, and that was pretty cool too. Just can I go with him, Dad? Kind of moment, and yeah, he's holding his leg and just waiting for his blessing to go. Yeah, a lot of good moments, and so Mando does give him the okay, give him the blessing to go. They share that exchange, and then they walk off, Luke and Grogu, and you can see almost a little bit of a tear in Mando's eye, just seeing his son go away with somebody else, and but it was just a heck of an episode. I mean,
yeah, it was very well done.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't forget R2D2 was in it. That also made me squeal because I love R2D2.
Yeah, I mean, it's another just completely iconic character, and I guess R2D2 was the one who kind of talked to Grogu as well, or beeped at him, whatever you want to say. But yeah, R2 was there as well, and again, that whole bringing the past into the future was so cool. Just intertwining them. It was absolutely awesome. So that's where we leave off, with Grogu going with Luke and Mando's mission essentially complete, which leaves us to where the heck do we go from here? That was his whole mission for half the season 1. All of season 2 is getting Grogu to where he needs to be and who he needs to be with. And now that that's essentially been completed, what happens now?
I feel like they'll probably do a storyline with the Darksaber and Bo-Katan. I feel like they're going to become, unfortunately, I feel like they're going to become enemies because of this, because she is going to have to defeat them because of the legend or whatever of the Darksaber.
Right. I agree. I think that that's at least going to be one storyline is again Bo-Katan continuing her quest to obtain the Darksaber, and in order to do so, she has to now defeat Mandalorian. And I mean, it brings up a whole lot of cool concepts and theories, not only with that, but other things relating as well. The Darksaber was in Star Wars Rebels, another animated series, and which brings us to another character from that series that we haven't really heard from in a while.
Yeah, you're right, Sabine.
Yeah, Sabine Wren. Sabine Wren was she was another one who did have control of the Darksaber at one point. But anyway, Sabine left with Ahsoka at the end of Star Wars Rebels to try to find another character from Rebels, Ezra Bridger, and their antagonist, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now, in the episode with Ahsoka, episode 5, we hear Ahsoka mention, "Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" Which I know at the beginning or a couple episodes of Bright Connections ago, when I was talking to somebody else with what to expect in Mandalorian, I mentioned that Grand Admiral Thrawn could be inserted into the series at some point, or at least mentioned or involved some way, shape, or form. And again, he got mentioned, but we haven't seen or heard or know anything of him yet. Now, I don't know if it's going to be, again, if he's going to be in this series or if he's going to kind of get his own series with Ahsoka and Sabine or Ezra or anyone like that. But again, it's so cool to see all these things intertwine and these characters that are in one series show up in another. And I would be really intrigued to see Grand Admiral Thrawn again, whether or not it be in Mandalorian or another series. Grand Admiral Thrawn was a crazy villain, if you will, in Rebels. Just extremely intelligent dude who was always a handful of steps ahead of everyone else. And to have him be inserted in another series, I don't know, it'd be really cool to me. But
I feel like it could happen.
I think so too, especially now that you throw in the Darksaber and Ahsoka and some other characters from Rebels, and Bo-Katan, other characters. That
I definitely would like to see Sabine in it. I mean, she did defeat. So yeah, I was just gonna say, I remember she defeated Imperial Viceroy Galfaxon Adol to get the Darksaber. I might not be saying that name right.
No, yeah, Gar Saxon, yeah. And that's how she acquired it. And I couldn't remember what happened to it after that, if she still had it or not. But
I haven't seen that series in a while.
I know, me either. I need to refresh, but I mean, but she's a Mandalorian, and that's why I just feel like she would fit in again with the whole Mandalorian series here. So it'd be intriguing to see, but so again with Bo-Katan and the dark saber, it's going to be intriguing to see where that goes. And then another theory that I saw that was interesting to me was the Beskar spear that Mando has. Looks oddly familiar to the spear that Captain Phasma has in the sequel series, which led to a handful of people saying, how does Captain Phasma get that? And where does that come into play? And is it the same spear as Mandalorian? And are they going to meet at some point in the series? Is that going to intertwine now too? And it just brought up a whole thing of what ifs. And I think a lot of people were underwhelmed with Captain Phasma's character. I know, in Star Wars canon, she has a lot more, legend to her, a lot more influence than she did in the sequel series. So it would be intriguing to see if they kind of throw her character back in to try to bump her value up a little bit more. And what do you guys think of that?
I mean, I like her, so it'd be kind of cool to see her intertwined in the series.
Yep.
I'm reading, and I don't, because I remember the spear, but I don't remember it. It looks like that she has to activate it, and when it does, it extends. And if that's the case, then I don't see how it could be related.
The same one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I do remember reading that as well, that it had some different features.
Yeah.
But again, it looked very similar, whether or not it was upgraded or if it's completely different. But it was just a cool thing to think of if it's related in any way.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's around the same time period. The Mandalorian series is about the beginning or the startup of the sequel series. Yep. So it could intertwine in some way, shape, or form.
I think it would be fun for them to intertwine literally all of it, like, all the Star Wars movies and the shows, the Clone Wars, the Rebels, just to see it all come together is really cool. And to have Captain Phasma come in somehow intertwine would be just another really cool addition to it.
Yep.
Wait, I have to step away for a second. I need to go with the dogs in.
Okay.
Oh, Samantha's gonna do it. Never mind. We heard her barking.
Okay. Which then leads us to another possible intertwine where a lot of people might be upset if this somehow comes true, or at least thinking about it in general. If you recall from the sequel series,
this is the very first thing that I said to Sam after we watched this. Was this
really?
Series. Yeah, very first thing I said.
So
in my mind, it's what happens. Until they put something out, this is what happens.
I know. So if you recall in the sequel series, and with Rey and old Luke and everything, there are no Jedis, and so it gets you thinking, what happens to Grogu? What happens to Baby Yoda? And if you think back to the storyline in the sequel series, Kylo Ren massacres all the students at Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple when they're in training and everything. And it makes you think, was Grogu in that temple? Was he part of that massacre or not? And it's like, whoa, I sure hope not.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I feel like it has to be, because there's no other, there's nothing else that makes sense to me.
Unless Grogu wasn't there at that time and he was off on his own, or just
But then
wouldn't you think?
Well, we're in the middle of it.
Wouldn't you think that if he was somewhere else, that he would sense that something like that happened? And then, like, especially with Luke being the one who's, at least from what we're seeing, is one training him, that they would have a connection too, that he would find Luke on whatever the island was.
Right.
Like if Rey could find Luke, then I'm sure someone who was actually trained by Luke and appears to probably be stronger, at least initially, in the Force,
Right.
by the time of them would be able to find him. So I feel
know.
like there's not an option.
I know.
It's sad, but I feel like that's the only way it can go.
It's terribly sad, terribly dark, but I know. I mean, again, without proof otherwise, you kind of have to assume that that's kind of what happened.
I mean,
Yeah.
personally, I feel like if he was alive, they would have had him in the movies. You know, at least with Rey.
Well, I think that's part of the problem with how they're doing this, is it's difficult to intertwine all these already existing stories. And
You're
going to
out
have
of order.
Right. You're going to have spots where things aren't going to match up, or something like the one thing that always took out with me, and I'm switching to Marvel now, but with Ragnarok, they say that Hulk went straight to whatever the planet was, but then they had those little like
Vanscar.
what's Thor doing now specials during Civil War, and it showed Thor talking to Bruce Banner in Australia.
Yeah.
I just always just those little things that maybe I don't say don't think of, because I think Jon Favreau is pretty good, but the Dave Filoni's pretty smart at keeping the lore together. But
Yeah.
I think it's just tough to keep everything in order and everything connecting properly.
Right, and they probably, when they were doing the sequel series, they probably, Baby Yoda wasn't a concept, I'm sure. So to be able to have him in that series wouldn't make any sense. And I don't know. It's really cool to think about what ifs and what happened and what could be. And it's just, I don't know. Yeah. To think about, I know, like I said, a lot of people will probably be upset, but that's what happened. That's what happened.
Gotta wait to see what happens, I guess.
Just gotta, yeah. I have to imagine that's not the end of Baby Yoda in the Mandalorian series. I'm sure we're gonna see him again.
Yeah.
In what way, shape, or form, who knows? But I don't know. A lot of theories, a lot of speculation, a lot of looking forward to where we go from here with the Mandalorian. So I'm excited. I know a lot of people are. And I'm sure it's going to continue to grow. I know there's a huge step up in action and special effects and everything in the second season. So as it continues to grow with the budget and everything, I can't imagine how awesome it's going to get.
I'm hoping that the armor returns.
Yeah, I'd like to see the armor again. Yep. And if they continue to add in other characters as well. I mean, that's what's great. I think that's what's great about the Mandalorian, is that it's because it's the Lone Ranger type feel, and because it's traveling to different planets all the time and meeting new characters. It just adds to it. It adds to the storyline. It adds to the diversity of the series, and it just keeps it extremely interesting from episode to episode. So, and I think it leaves the option for branching out as well. It's not this single storyline. We could go here and then swing it back over and talk about this story again. So, but, and I think this whole Mandalorian series kind of brought back a revitalization of Star Wars in a way. I know a lot of people weren't extremely happy with the sequel series. I didn't have a problem with it. I enjoyed it, but I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it, at least not as much. But it kind of put Star Wars back on the map, if you will.
I 100% agree with that. A lot of people thought this is one of the greatest Star Wars right now of all times, at least that I read and I've talked to people about.
Yeah. I mean, and it's off the beaten path too. It's not the typical Jedi Sith kind of thing. It's somebody else, but it's the Star Wars universe, and it brought it all back. It really brought new people back, moved people into the series, old people back to the series, hardcore fans, not as hardcore fans. everybody enjoys it in one way, shape, or form, and it's really taken off.
And it's not predictable, to be honest. Like the last three of the series, like the last episode, it was predictable. I pretty much knew it from watching the 5 minutes right in the beginning of the movie. So The Mandalorian is very unpredictable, and it's really just, I like it. They did it very well, intertwining all these characters, these lovable characters.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for this season 3 to come out.
Yeah. And then it kind of opened up for more spin-offs and more series coming up too. So I mean, Disney Plus just released a list of series, whether it be Star Wars or Marvel or whatever, but there's just all kinds of stuff coming out, and I couldn't be more excited. There's the Obi-Wan series, there's a bunch of Marvel series, there's just a lot of stuff coming out, and it's extremely exciting for anyone who's a Marvel, Star Wars, comic book type of fan, and it's just awesome times, for everybody who's taken a step back from going outside and now living in their houses. It's a good time to dish out all these series and shows. So I don't know. I'm excited. You guys have any series that you're looking forward to coming out this year?
Pretty much all the Star Wars and all the Marvel, Wanda and Vision, because I really love Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
I love her character. And to see, I wish she got her own movie, but I'll settle with a TV series. And
Yeah.
Loki, who doesn't love Loki?
Yeah, Loki looks really good.
Loki looks good. Yeah.
They all look good.
Yep. I know. They really do. They really do. So, all right. That's about it for that. So, which leads us to then our bright stories of the week. So, I've got a couple little things here that I want to talk about. Then you guys have your own story as well. So, over Christmas, my cousin got me this little bracelet. It's just a simple little smiley face bracelet, and on the inside, if you flip it over, it reads, "Be the reason someone smiles." And it really touched me because in my life, I've always worn some type of bracelet like this, and it usually has some type of meaning to it or sentimental value at some point. And I haven't had a bracelet in a couple of years. And for this to now come at this time where I'm doing Bright Connections and everything, and just trying to spread some positivity and some brightness, and trying to make people smile and laugh and enjoy life. And it just came at the perfect time. And I absolutely love this bracelet. I thought it was amazing. And I'm super appreciative to my cousin for getting this. And again, it's just a simple thing. It's just a simple little bracelet, but it just, anytime I'm thinking about it or going through my day, I just look down at my wrist, and it reminds me to just go through that day with brightness and trying to share some positivity and goodness back, to everyone else around me. And just again, super appreciative of it. And so I kind of put that into action right away. Going back to work after Christmas, one of my coworkers wasn't having a very good day, and we were talking, and I showed her this bracelet, and kind of was joking around with her, and something, and what we were just talking, and the word huge came up, and we both just kind of stopped at the same time, looked at each other, and went, "Listen, it's huge. It's just huge." And we both started laughing, and it was just, and she's like, "You know what? That was what I needed. It brightened up my day. It was just a simple thing. It was just us looking to each other and doing something like that, and put a smile on her face and brighten up her day a little bit." So it was a good time, good day. And it's always good for me to know that I helped change somebody's day for the better. And that's what it's all about. So, and then the last thing, we had another coworker who had a little bit of a COVID scare. He was with somebody who came down, who tested positive for COVID. And so he had to get tested as well. He thankfully was negative the whole time, but still had to quarantine for 2 weeks before coming back to work. And so just as a nice little gesture, we made him like a welcome back sign and everything to try to just make him feel welcome when he came back after 2 weeks. And so not only did we do that to try to brighten up his day or, his time coming back, but I think his return kind of just brightened us up as well. Cause everybody else was working hard to alleviate some of his work while he was gone. And not only that, but just having somebody else you're used to having around come back, and it just brightened up our spirits as well. So just simple things like just being with somebody that you're normally with, or just a simple thing as saying welcome back and welcoming somebody back. It's just hopefully brighten up his day. We know it brightened up our day when he came back. So little things like that make the difference. So those are my bright stories. Appreciative of my cousin and the bracelet, and then just trying to spread some brightness and some joy myself, through little actions. So you guys have your own little bright story, right?
Yep. Oh, Samantha's making me tell it. Yeah, so we moved into our neighborhood, bought our house about a little over a year ago at this point, and we've found that we have probably some of the best neighbors we could have asked for. So just Thanksgiving, we got some cards, a couple bottles of wine, case of beer for some of them. So we just dropped that off. Did the same thing at Christmas. But it's nice just dropping it off. We kind of ding dong ditch situation. So we drop it off, ring doorbell, run away.
Yeah.
But they all of them caught us, and they're all real appreciative, thankful of it. We had the one neighbor talk to us a couple of days later and said they really enjoyed the bottle of wine. So it's just nice to give a little bit of holiday cheer in a weird year.
Right. And
Don't forget, our next door neighbor, I don't think he drinks. So we dropped off beer for her and ginger ale for him. And he came out and his face lit up and he felt like it was a kid on Christmas. He was so happy to get just ginger ale. And it's just nice to do a lot of things that make people smile. I try to do that. Due to COVID, couldn't really do it a lot this year. But I think acts of kindness really go a long way. Even if it's just putting a smile on somebody's face who's having a bad day.
Right. And like you said, it's just a simple thing. Just giving somebody ginger ale, and like you said, just seeing his face light up and smile. You could tell you made his day, and I'm sure for you guys, knowing that you brightened up his day, it changed your day for the better as well. So awesome stuff. And it's just, again, simple things. You said with it being COVID, it can be tough, but at the same time, you can always find a way. Just like you said, just dropping off things for neighbors. There's always a way to do something for somebody else. And if we just take the time to consider others, it's always possible, and it's always attainable to do something nice for somebody. So thank you guys for doing something like that. That's awesome. Good stuff. And thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. So I'd say that's about it, guys. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate your input on the Mandalorian. Bye, kitty.
Thanks for having us. We enjoyed it.
You bet. A lot of fun talking about Mandalorian and where we go from here. I know you guys, appreciate the series just as much as I do. And so here we are in the new year as well. Looking forward to hopefully a good new year. So the best to you guys, the viewers, and have a wonderful start to your year. Make it the best you can. Go out, do something nice for somebody, put a smile on your face, and hopefully, it'll put a smile on other people's faces as well. So have a wonderful week. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time, guys. Take care.